Hey everybody, my name is Gavin and I love a horror. Like every other YouTuber, it's time to get to some end of year list, and while 2022 was one of the strongest years for horror in recent memory, there were still some films in the genre that really lowered the bar on just how crappy some horror movies can be. Today, we're going to be looking at the top 5 worst horror movies of 2022. Let's get into it. Before we get to the main list, I do want to give out some dishonorable mentions. These are movies that weren't bad enough to make the list, but still deserve to be called out. The first dishonorable mention goes to Amma, starring Sandra Oh. This is one that my girlfriend was really looking forward to, as she is biracial and her mother is actually from South Korea. She was interested in seeing how the movie would explore generational trauma and immigrant parents. What we got instead was a K-drama with some ghost stuff. It doesn't really do much with the subject matter it sets up, and probably would have been better as a straight drama as opposed to mixing in supernatural elements. And the supernatural elements were basically just jump scares, but Korean. Amma doesn't make the main list because it does try something different, even if what it tries doesn't work out that well. This next dishonorable mention may get me in a little bit of trouble, but I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna say it. Jordan Peele's Nope. I'm a huge fan of Jordan Peele's work. I think Get Out is an absolute masterpiece, and I really liked Us. I also liked what he did in producing the Candyman sequel. Thought that was great, and I was really excited for Nope and to see what he did in the genre of aliens. And maybe it's because I thought the movie was marketed more as a straight alien movie, kind of like a Signs or The Fourth Kind, but the movie left me pretty disappointed with how it turned out. And I fully accept that this could just be me misunderstanding what message Nope was trying to convey. I understand this could just be a me thing, and I didn't get it. It could be on me, because I do think there's some great elements in Nope, but it didn't fully flesh out for me in the way that I would have liked it to. The reason Nope didn't make the main list mainly is I do think it's a very well put together movie, and the stuff with Gordy the chimp is genuinely terrifying. Anytime you mix the unpredictability of animals in situations, it was very scary, and some of the most tense moments I watched in any movie all year. So that for me is what keeps it off the main top 5 worst list, and I will still go see whatever Jordan Peele does next, even if Nope was for me a miss. And finally, to wrap up dishonorable mentions, it's Rob Zombie's The Munsters. Yes, I know. I did go on record and say this was the worst movie of 2022, which I still think it could still win that title. I do think it has a very big claim to that throne, but Rob Zombie's The Munsters isn't the worst horror movie of 2022, based on the technicality that it's not a horror movie. It's not, I know I reviewed it on this channel, but it's not a horror movie. It's a family-friendly movie with some slight horror elements thrown in. So I'm not going to call it the worst horror movie when that's not actually what it was. Also, I'm just kind of tired of fighting with Rob Zombie fans in the comments, okay? Like, I didn't like your movie. I'm sorry, okay? I've liked some of the other stuff. I just didn't. Rob Zombie's The Monsters didn't do it for me, okay? But it's not the worst horror movie of 2022, even if I still hate it. All right, dishonorable mentions out of the way, let's get to the main list. First up, number 5, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Texas Chainsaw Massacre was Netflix's attempt to do a sequel to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. This was actually a direct sequel to the first movie back from 1974. And at this point, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre timeline is almost as convoluted and confusing as the Halloween timeline, only somehow less successful. I was excited when I heard they were doing a new TCM movie, and the first trailer I was pretty excited about. It was that second trailer with the infamous "try anything and you're canceled, bro" line that made me go, this might be going awry. This might not be for me. I might not enjoy this. And when the movie came out, that's kind of what it was. It was Leatherface takes on hipsters in Texas, which isn't a bad premise, but it's not a good premise either. There are some good elements in the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre, mostly the gore and the violence, but these characters are so shallow that you can't care about them at all. Like, these characters are caricatures of caricatures. Like, why was that girl a survivor of a school shooting? That felt very, like, gross to, like, include as, like, a side note and a character trait. Just felt kind of icky. I also didn't love the Leatherface design, as my friend Brent Terhune described as wet Slipknot. which, perfect. It also reminded me of Wet Slipknot because parts of this movie made me want to push my fingers into my eyes. By far, though, the worst part of Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the shoehorning in of legacy character Sally, not played by the original actress, by the way, because that original actress did pass away, but they tried to do the Laurie Strode route of we gotta bring back the original final girl. And that works for Halloween because Laurie and Michael have a distinct history that people know and people like. You can't do that with an unknown actress and a much lesser character. Did not work at all, and it just felt like they ordered Laurie Strode from Wish. Number 4, Jeepers Creepers Reborn. I know for a lot of people, Jeepers Creepers Reborn is going to be the worst horror movie you saw in 2022. And there is a lot to say about that. There is. It is an objectively terrible film. But like I said in my review a few weeks ago, I can't say it's the worst horror movie I saw in 2022 because I did have a lot of fun with it. It's a very bad movie. It has some of the most, it has some of the worst CGI. It has some of the most atrocious acting I've seen in a long time. But the movie, for me, goes into the so bad it's good territory where you can put it on as background noise and just laugh at just how bad everything is. It's not a great movie at all, but I did have enough fun laughing at it, which was not the director's intention at all, was to have people mercilessly mock their movie, but I did laugh and enjoyed enough that it was not the worst horror movie of 2022 for me because I found something enjoyable. But it does still deserve to be on this list 100% because it is a big old pile of crap. I also do want to give an apology for a joke I made in my Jeepers Creepers Reborn review where I referred to the older couple at the beginning as the finest local community theater actors that the production could afford. I was corrected in the comment section of that video saying that, did you not know that's Dee Wallace and Gary Graham, genre legends? And I did not. So that's on me. I made that joke without doing my research. So my bad, y'all. My bad. Number 3, Dashcam. Dashcam was the latest outing from director Rob Savage, who did one of my favorite movies of 2020, Host, which some say is the scariest movie of all time, if you believe science. But with Dashcam, he tried to do something very similar with that very unconventional style of filming. Instead of using like a regular camera, you just see the movie in different people's cell phones, live streams, things like that, which is a very cool way to shoot. He does not capture that magic of Host in Dashcam, and that is because of the main protagonist. I had Dashcam recommended to me by a couple of different people on Twitter, so I decided to check it out, but it did come with the caveat that Dashcam is a pretty okay movie, but it does have a very divisive protagonist in Annie Hardy. And divisive is an understatement. Annie Hardy is the worst. Just the absolute worst. Like, this is the worst movies of 2022. She is the worst character of 2022 and maybe of all time. Just an annoyance front to back of this movie. I've never wanted a character to die so quickly and painfully, and then that doesn't happen. So it was a bummer to be rooting actively against the main character. You cannot have a character that is so vulgar, so racist, and so unlikable and expect audiences to get on board, because we can't. The idea is very cool with her live streaming herself driving around singing, and she picks up kind of like a hitchhiker type scenario, but the hitchhiker seems to be kind of not all there are demonically possessed or something. So that's a very cool concept. And I will say the story and gore of Dashcam are pretty great. The gore especially is top notch. But the character of Annie Hardy is so awful that it makes this one of the worst movies I saw of 2022. The movie itself could be cool, but she's so unlikable that I never want to watch this ever again. Number 2, Halloween Ends. Y'all can let out a sigh of relief. You can put down your pitchforks and your torches. Halloween Ends is not the worst horror movie that I saw in 2022. It may be the top of a lot of people's lists, but not mine. But I will say it was a coin flip between Halloween Ends and what is going to be crowned as number 1. But Halloween Ends did just enough just enough to edge out not being the worst horror movie of 2022 for me. But what can I say that I didn't say in my 13-minute review back when this movie came out? Halloween Ends is not a good movie, in my opinion, at all. Halloween Ends is so bad that it made me retroactively like Halloween Kills more, which is a movie I did not enjoy when it came out. But Halloween Ends is so bad, it makes me watch Halloween Kills and go, huh, at least it's not Halloween Ends. Halloween Ends trades in all of the character development from the first two movies and instead decides to give us a Laurie Strode who's just okay with Michael Myers being on the loose for 4 years. You have Allison who throws away all character development in order to get Twitter-pated by a spooky boy. There's just so many missteps and missed opportunities that were set up in the previous films that are completely ignored here. And to bring in a character like Corey, who would have been a fine character 2 movies ago, but you can't bring in, like, you can't make Corey the Poochie of the Halloween franchise. You can't have, well, when Corey's not on screen, everybody should be asking, what's Corey doing? And Halloween Ends is made worse by the expectations that we as Halloween fans had to this ending of this trilogy. We were hoping we'd get a satisfying conclusion to the decades old, almost 45 years of history between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers. Will we get a definitive, good, conclusive ending? And then we did. And that's why Halloween Ends did enough for me to not be the worst movie, is because the last 20 minutes when Laurie Strode finally defeats Michael Myers, I thought it was worth it. I thought there was enough there, even though it was very one-sided in Laurie's favor. Like, she just beats the shit out of this man with a refrigerator and then cuts him up. And then we all watch the town watch this man get taken to a car crusher, which, what a family outing. But the ending of Halloween Ends, it does enough, and it does actually kill Michael Myers in a definitive way, where I can go, yeah, it's the second worst horror movie I saw this year. Before we get to number 1, would love if you leave a like for this video and subscribe to this channel. You've made it this far to see what number 1 is, so why not subscribe? Let's hang out for the long haul, okay? And yeah, I did just do a watch mojo to you. I told you to subscribe before I get to the thing you want to see. And my number 1 worst horror movie of 2022 is Men. It's hard to describe how or why I didn't like this movie, and it has nothing to do with the subject matter. It does not bother me if you show men as an antagonist, or that it kind of portrays men as basically predators who are all just a variation of the same man, which I think is pretty creative. It's pretty creative storytelling. But I didn't like it because I got confused by the ending, I guess. I like to think I'm a pretty smart guy.
Look how many books my girlfriend owns.
And I can understand analogies and metaphors, but I'm not really sure what Men was trying to say with the ending. I was on board for the first 2/3 of Men. I think the way they portrayed men is very interesting. I think so. I really like that they showed that sometimes the scariest thing in the world is just a naked man outside a window, which makes everybody uncomfortable. But once you get past that initial shock and the kind of It Follows spookiness, it really turns into a shit show in that third act, where you've got people giving birth to other people, men giving birth to other men, and hands being cut off and being the same, and then men turning into jellies and the blob, and I think I saw Brundlefly in there somewhere. It did not make any sense to me. I don't think this is a case like with Nope, where maybe I didn't understand what they were trying to say. I think I did get what they were trying to say, but also it was very stupid, so I didn't understand. But I shouldn't have to go online and watch a 60-minute YouTube video to explain what your movie was trying to say at the end. I tried to comprehend what was happening, but if you leave me more confused and less answered by the end of something, I'm not going to enjoy it as much. And it's not a movie that I could ever see myself ever wanting to watch again. I do want to say, though, that Rory Kinnear does a great job portraying all the different variations of the men in this little village. I thought he did a really, really great job doing that. It's no small feat to play so many characters in one thing. So he does a great job doing that. I don't want to take that away from him. But overall, the movie for me just wasn't that. It wasn't it. And it was an A24 film, which continues the trend of me either absolutely loving an A24 movie or absolutely hating it. And Men, sadly, falls into the latter category. And that is why, for me, it is the worst horror movie of 2022. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree with my list, or do you have your own worst horror movie of 2022? Maybe something that I did not mention, like I didn't watch every horror movie released this year, so maybe there's something far, far worse that I just left out. Let me know in the comments below. Also be sure to subscribe to the channel because later this week I will be doing a best horror movies of 2022 list. So if this was too negative for you, well, some positivity's coming to your life, babies. Until next time though, stay weird.